Hello, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. If you're watching me live, I'm streaming this broadcast directly from Lagos, Nigeria. Good evening. So wonderful to be here again. Formula for Everyday podcast. So excited. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm so glad to be broadcasting live here again. Um, from Lagos, Nigeria. It's been a while since I've been on this podcast, and the obvious reason is because of so many limitations that come in trying to stop us from achieving our goal. But I'm so glad that we're here again, and we are going to be restarting this podcast this time around, hopefully more consistently. Let me just play something that will make the experience more enjoyable. Okay, so hopefully we're going to be doing more of the things that will make the entire experience of watching the podcast more and more enjoyable as compared to how we have been operating previously. So once again, I'm so glad that you are here on this podcast, and it's my hope that you'd find your time here um, very profitable. Whatever time you spend here, you find it as a very huge investment as to trying to grow your personal to trying to grow your personal life and get better at what you do through personal development. So before we delve straight into the topic for today, just like I always just like I always say, um we may hope to do better things tomorrow, but the best things are done today. You can see from the screen here. So the best things are done today. The best things meaning that whatever it is that we have an opportunity to do today, we have to try our best to apply ourselves to achieve it because we may not have that kind of opportunity tomorrow. So over the course of the weekend, I've been thinking about a specific specific topic, and the topic is actually in line with flow state. Now, I'm going to get there by explaining what flow state means. But in the meantime, it's important for us to know that um, everything we get to achieve or everything we get to attempt comes from a place of that's whatever drives us comes from a place of happiness and extreme satisfaction. So it's important to always pay attention to the things that drive us. So I remember last year, um I got the opportunity to direct a YouTube project. I'm a filmmaker and a director as well. So I got an opportunity to direct a film project, and the interesting thing about um, that job I got is slated for 3 days. So it was slated for 3 days, and I got on set. I rallied the entire team together. Spoke to them, tried to encourage them that okay, what we're trying to create is going to be exceptional because obviously I joined the writer too. develop the story. And when we finally got on set, and it was very challenging because um, it was just 3 days to shoot, but everybody was not so much given to the project due to the fact that there was no um, there was no enough time for rest. There was no enough time for rest, so everybody was not entirely given to the project. And at some point, so it was so demanding of everyone that you know the actors were so tired. We had very late nights, we had very early mornings, and we just kept moving in order to be able to finish the shoot. But I realized that in the midst of everything, I instead of feeling exhaustion, I felt a whole lot of satisfaction because it reminded me so much of why I chose, you know, the media and entertainment space as where I would like to build my life. It just reminded me about why I actually picked the industry to be a place where I want to build in. So just thinking about it brings back a lot of memories because I began to analyze the theme of flow state, because flow state is that period where you get to, and you are able to you're able to lose track of time. You're able to lose track of everything going around you because of how much you enjoy what you're doing. So in spite of the fact that we had very intense 3 days of shoot, I was energized because I was really enjoying it. And if there's one thing I really enjoy in film, I really enjoy directing, creative directing in film. And I mean, just thinking about it over the course of the weekend just reminded me the reason why a lot of people are able to withstand, the pressures that come in this journey of, this our creative journey, because there is a lot of pressure, financial pressures, there could even be pressure from family, which includes black tax. Even with if you live in Nigeria or Africa, there's a lot of pressure that comes from what goes on in our system. The system is not very conducive for the creative economy. But in spite of these many things that happen to be able to stifle your creative prowess, it's important that you really find that state of flow every single day when you get up, so that you'll be able to consistently deliver at scale. Okay, so coming back to my story, you see, I realized that flow state is something that is a period, or let's say a state of mind. For those of us that are Avatar, that's Avatar, the Last Airbender fans. You know that there's an Avatar state and there's a normal state. For the normal state of the Avatar, he can still manipulate the four elements, but in his Avatar state, he begins to, he's able to conjure all the power from previous avatars before him, and he's able to use all their powers combined to achieve what he wants to achieve. So consider your flow state to be your own special type of, Lawrence state, or whatever your name is. Just consider your flow state to be that special state where you're able to put together all your powers and harness it in achieving the task that has been set before you. So that's just the simple concept of flow state. And a lot of people don't get to find flow state in course of their career. And that's why, I mean, especially the creative journey can be so vigorous, because in trying to build anything at all, especially something that has not been clearly defined, is something that you're creating from scratch. You need to be so passionate about what you're doing, because if you're not passionate enough, it's possible that you may even lose. I mean, you almost lose your mind, because it's it's very demanding. It's very demanding, and it's very difficult to be able to progress in trying to build, in trying to skill your to convince people. Because another thing I've been thinking about lately is how whatever the size of your dreams and aspirations are, there is always need to there's always need for funding. So you need funding to be able to achieve um, you know what you want to create for yourself. You need funding. So in order to be able to achieve this funding, you need to consistently convince people, which will which will include your investors, that you're up to the task in doing exactly what you want to do. And so you need to be very passionate about what you're doing. And in order for you to be passionate, you need to consistently stay in the state of flow. Now, flow state is simply the moment where you are deeply engrossed in whatever it is you're doing. You are deeply committed, because the task seems very satisfying. And this is not entirely because the task is not difficult, but it's so enjoyable. I mean, it's so it's so immersive that you lose track of time. Now, for me, it's while I was directing on the film set, 3 days passed. I didn't even realize that we had spent up to 3 days, because I was so focused on actually bringing that story to life. And even though the production schedule was crazy for the number of scenes we needed to shoot, I didn't feel tired, because like I was pumped up enough to be able to follow through with everything I had, set in mind to achieve. So what I'm trying to say this evening is that discovering your flow state as a creative, discovering your flow state as a business person, discovering your flow state as a career person is so important, because that's what will keep you going on the very hard days, the days where it doesn't really seem like so much is going on for you. At that point, that's where you need consistent drive. You need consistent passion to be able to follow through everything that you have set in mind to achieve. So I had a couple of thoughts around flow state, because aside from the fact that your time freezes, or time appears to be inconsequential, it's also important for us to look at flow state from the perspective of purpose and fulfillment, because I believe that purpose and fulfillment will be there will be much more simpler topics to discuss in our societal circles if we consider them in terms of flow state. Now, flow states, in considering purpose and fulfillment, is you understanding that the activities that give you that immersive um you know that immersive interest are the activities that you need to pay more and more attention to, because those activities are the activities that are pointers to exactly what you should be doing for the rest of your life, or at least what you should be doing at that time. So when you consider the activities that really like draw you in, that are very immersive, you'll be able to understand that they are pointers, because you begin to understand yourself better than you know if you had just if you are just walking with the flow. So it's a very important thing to consider while while trying to discover the subjects of your fulfillment and even your purpose in life. Sometimes, especially for Nigerians, we make the subject of purpose and fulfillment to be so ambiguous. But the simple thing is, when you get to that state of operation such that time doesn't matter so much, or even it's even possible that money doesn't even matter as much, because you are able to naturally get into an immersive and satisfying state while doing that thing, then you now find out that you found treasure in what you do. And the longer you stay doing that thing, the better you will get, because consistency accumulates over time. All right. So um It's also important to know that while you are trying to discover your flow state, you should always you should consistently give yourself a new challenge, because if you continue to follow through with routine, it becomes very boring, and it begins to affect your creativity. But if you consistently give yourself challenges, you know, challenge yourself to do new things, or even the old things in new ways, challenge yourself to continue to move in spite of how um how monotonous things may seem. So you always look for new ways to make your work more exciting by perhaps trying different methods. If you are like me, work with softwares, trying a different software that can help you achieve the same thing. So yeah, having that challenge in mind and having a clear objective of what you want to achieve can totally put you in flow state. And like I mentioned earlier, the entire point of getting into flow state consistently is for you to um, always be able to, is for you to always be able to, you know, um, you need to consistently be able to, uh, um, you need to consistently be able to stay in flow state so that you can be able to follow through with everything that you've planned to achieve. And the more you're able to do your work in a satisfying manner, you won't just be satisfied as a person, but even those that are looking at you would be inspired because of how well you're committed to doing your work. So yeah, um I was just thinking about how being productive may not be the entire goal of living out each day, but we need to, as creators, we need to, as people, business people, career people, consistently look for ways that we can um we need to consistently look for ways that we can get into flow state and um remain there for as long as possible. Because as you discover the activities that bring you into flow state, and you deliberately and intentionally try your best to remain in flow state, you find out that you become better at your work. You would even start doing things that are not on the usual realm. Like I gave an illustration with the animated series of Avatar. You see, this character is a character that could operate on a normal state, but his normal state is nothing as strong as his avatar stage, which is like his more supernatural state. So as we continue to explore our flow state, and in doing the things that we want to do and achieve, we'll find out that it's it begins to open us up more to more um amazing ideas on how to. I see flow state as a place of infinite intelligence. It's a place where we operate from infinite intelligence. The intelligence that is not just available to normal human beings. Is an intelligence that is not just available to the everyday man on the street, because it's a flow state that is unique to us as persons creating something. Okay, so what I want to say today is consistently strive to get into flow states, because it reveals a lot about who you're becoming. And as you continue to do your work and try to attain flow states, always remember that whatever you become in the process is always better and more rewarding than what you ever thought you could achieve, because it's the process. And being in flow state, locating your flow state and staying in your flow state is what makes this entire journey very enjoyable, especially if you wish to build your life in the creative space. So this is a very important part that you should consistently consider while you do your work. So I really really do I hope that this entire live session has been helpful for you today. So for some very obvious reasons, I've not been available for a while, but I'll try my best to say I can be as consistent as possible, coming to you live here every day between the hours of 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. So until I come your way again, my name remains Lawrence Nkwocha. This is Formula for Everyday podcast where we discuss, personal development topics, you know, progressive thoughts, and sometimes we even talk about books. Just talk about books and try to share different perspectives and how we can get better as we continue to grow in our journeys to achieve um, sovereignty. So, like I always say, we may hope to do the better things tomorrow, but the best things are done today. So continue to be the best that you can and continue to aspire for the best. I really do hope that as we go on, this broadcast is going to become more and more fun. And thank you very much for tuning in today. Until I come your way again, same time tomorrow. Bye for now.